Hello, hello, Twitch world. We are alive. Eli, how you doing today?
Good. I'm doing well. What's up?
Yeah, what's up? We are both SoCal living. It's been raining on us, but now we're getting that
Drying
promised
out.
weather, sunshine. Yeah, I'm chilling. I'm happy to have you today. Matt Bro, get in here. Appreciate you coming back. Bugles up for the Prince. Yeah, if you don't know already, Eli is an amazing DM, TTRPG creator. I mean, audio engineer and professional, which I feel like anyone in this space is like desperate to have as a guru. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, we're pumped to have you. And I mean, yeah, like, what's the vibe today?
I mean, it's pretty chill.
Love it.
Not
Chill
gonna
is a
lie.
great vibe. Are you
Chill,
kidding me?
yeah.
That's top of the list.
I mean, given that lately and what we've been doing at Mayday has been just nothing but sad and stress vibes because of just how dramatic we like to be. It's been kind of nice to just have, some chill
Yeah,
at the same
yeah,
time.
no, 100%. You need that. Like that's in a huge part of the equation is
Mhm.
sprinkling in some chill.
Just a little bit.
And so yeah, so that's what we're here to do. We're here to chill. We're here to chop it up on the D&D front. We were talking about previously Mayday Roleplay, which is an amazing live stream and podcast that Eli's a part of. You guys are playing a Vampire the Masquerade arc right now,
Yes.
which
Yes.
is spicy. I mean, dude, it's dark. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's cracking off. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of like Mayday's shtick. We like to really go as dark as we possibly can.
yeah, yeah,
We're not afraid to be really dramatic and really serious and shed tears. I think that's
yeah.
a part of it. Because a lot of people are really more geared towards funny, being a little light, being kind of that, but we're just nah.
No.
No.
Exactly. No, that comes through. That comes through. I think, I wasn't able to type all the lines out fast enough, but the one beat, I don't know if Spoon saw it or who was involved in the situation, but just the idea of the west wing or a west balcony, someone disemboweling someone as part of a visual display at a party.
Yes.
And, that was just just rowdy. I was like, okay, well, that's a tone.
Caleb is insane with his visuals and stuff like that, and just not afraid to tell you how gritty and raw the
Got
vampire
you.
world really is, and just like surprise you like 95% of the time. Um, it's good stuff.
Yeah, no, and see that's such a great segue because you talk about like surprises and whatnot, but in general, I've never played Vampire the Masquerade, and I always like asking sort of at the first was D&D your first tabletop? Was it something else that kind of got you into the mix, or?
Yeah. So I'm like everybody who the pipeline to getting deeper into TTRPG came through, D&D. So that's where I started off with that. But as I, met Mayday, and as we've been continuing on this journey of doing AP stuff, creation, we've gotten to like sit down with other of our friends is like games that they like. So like
Got you.
we went from D&D initially, and then we segued into Delta Green, which is our Doom to Repeat series that Sergio runs and stuff like that, because that's like his system that he likes to play. He loves that
forgive
system.
my ignorance, is Doom to Repeat a system?
It's based off the Delta Green, the game
Okay.
Delta Green, which is it's from Chaosium Call of Cthulhu. It runs the D100 system essentially.
Got it.
So we went from like doing high fantasy stuff to now being like secret government agents looking at like trying to
Yes.
hunt down Cthulhu-esque monsters and stuff like that.
Yes, Operation Cthulhu.
Exactly. And then and then we just, we've been playing just all of our favorite games and stuff like that. So, and then now we're playing Caleb's favorite game, which is Vampire the Masquerade.
Gotcha.
So now we're doing all that. So we've been just progressing through wanting to just play everything that every one of our friends are interested in. And you can really feel it like in our GMing that everybody is like really, really passionate about being there. And that's really great, because then you get to really experience what other people like and what story mechanics they want to focus on, and where they like to hub out their creativity. It's really interesting what people really gravitate to.
1,000%. 1,000%. That energy, that sort of that following of the fun is what I like to call it, is so present, like so clear at y'all's table, and it absolutely makes me want to watch just more of y'all's kind of standalones, in the sense of watching how you guys click over, even with having a different GM. And real quick, Koopy, love you, girl. Bugles up. Welcome. You and Mapro, some absolute G's. Hope everyone is chilling on this Wednesday. We are halfway there. We are nearly there.
Almost there. It's on the horizon.
I can see it. Exactly. It's cresting. So Eli, did you, were you a GM first? Were you a player first? What? Did you know immediately you wanted to be a GM?
I was a player first, because I'm really introverted as an individual, so I didn't even really think TTRPG was in my wheelhouse, but I kind of just somebody was like, you should just try it. And I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, I ended up meeting my home team, which is outside of meeting the folks at Mayday. And I really got into it. I really enjoyed being a player and stuff like that. But then the pandemic hit, and our GM ended up having to move out of state. So it was one of those things. But then all of us were looking at each other, going well, we still kind of want to play. We ended up zooming it into some way, but he couldn't GM for us anymore. So I was like, well, I could do it. I ended up just I got an idea, and if you're willing to just fuck around and we'll just, as we go, let's just do it. So then they were like, yeah, fuck it, what else are we doing in the middle of the pandemic when none of us are working? None of us, that was lockdown, deep lockdown.
That definitely was a swelling, a groundswell in tabletop, right? Everyone was like, okay, we're at home. We've baked the fucking sourdough. Now, what do we do? All right. I can't watch another one of this guy's workout circuit videos. I'm losing it. 100%.
Gotta do something.
And it's worth noting. In Mapro, appreciate that. Relax. Kick one back. Definitely hoist a mead, my friend.
Yes.
But it's definitely worth noting that, that sense of that's how I start almost every job interview. It's hey, look, if you're okay with me just kind of fucking around and, sort of, finding it together, then this will work out,
Exactly.
And so how did you guys all, get plugged in to begin with? Did you guys were all out here on the West Coast, or?
Yeah. So my are you talking about Mayday, or are you talking about?
Or were these two separate games? This was just a home game.
Two separate games. So so it was one. It was I had a home table, and then shortly in that mix, I ended up meeting Mayday, and then as most home tables eventually fizzle out. As the pandemic progressed, we slowly fizzled out, but then I progressed on with Mayday.
The hunger had been born.
The hunger had been born, but I had at least walking in when I started hanging out with Mayday and we started playing and stuff like that. At least I had my campaign world, which I then ended up running. We have a 10-episode arc of us playing with me GMing in my world of Ashoka, which is,
let's go.
Yeah, so it's a island our island archipelago based campaign world. And it's open world, so I build as I play with other people at the table.
That's right.
So as everybody brings their characters to the table, and we have to flesh out the world that they come from and stuff like that. Then I start, this is your island now. This is where you come from, and start just fleshing out the world that way.
No, 100%. Well, that's amazing. And Daryl sucks at gaming. Welcome. I feel like a robot. Daryl sucks at gaming. I don't believe it, Daryl. I believe in you. You got this. Or is your last name sucks? I don't mean to presume. I am a Saxon with the last name of sucks. Richter, love you. Agreed. The tables do rotate. That's why we got to eat when the food's in front of us. I'm thankfully still part of a home game that survived that pandemic, but I'm part of another that had to take 6 months off. That's just sometimes how it has to go. But this is amazing. Tell me the name of this 10 episode, the name of the world again.
It's called Ashoka.
Ashoka.
The series is called Ashoka Precious Cargo. It's about 6 strangers who come together to deliver a package across the sea and what they have to do to get all the way to the end. Super fun. That was like the second intended long-term campaign we wanted to do, or second episode like base. So we ended up doing like full editorial and all of that stuff. So it's a nice polished thing. But everybody at the crew made like these really fun, silly, silly characters, and it was really fun to DM for them and stuff like that, because everybody at Mayday is also a chaos monster. And
y'all are, man. You can't
really prep for it. It's like as everybody slowly becomes a GM at our table, everybody starts to realize the nonsense that we all have to deal with, because we have 2 people who you can't prep for ever, because just how they decide to problem solve is just ridiculous.
It's a room full of wizards. Yes, they all know how magic works, right?
It's cats with hand.
Everyone's seen behind the curtain. They know. Yeah.
They know. Yeah, everybody's a DM. Everybody's a storyteller. I mean, we all come from film and television backgrounds, or acting backgrounds, so everybody kind of knows how to do it.
And can I just say, very, very clear. It's such a tight, rounded, I take it in as a podcast for the most part, and it just clips. It's clear you guys have a bunch of intention and background and 10,000 hours.
It's crazy how we instantly really clicked as a group and stuff like that, because we were all more or less strangers at the top of it. But we all realized as we were kind of playing a couple of off-stream games how really well connected we were, how really clicky we were, and we decided to just continue to pursue it. And I haven't been at a table with any of these folks that we weren't able to find in our characters really great universal themes, foils, really our one character has what another character needs in order to get them to move their arc along.
And can I ask, because that's so beautiful and so effective, right? Drives the story, unites the table. Is that part of what you mean, Eli, in terms of you flesh out a world and then it's finished by your players? Is that an aspect of it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's that everybody has, because depending on your players, people write intensive backgrounds and stuff like that, and that's just such a waste to not utilize it in the world and make it as rich and as if your players are invested, you can use that investment into how you GM for them. Because even though they're not, nothing's more rewarding than a player making something that's part of just their backstory to get them to tell you how they got here, and then being able to yank that and then bring it into the story. So when they confront something and they realize it's their stuff,
spicy.
That they got it. My whole goal is to make these fools just fucking
dance.
Just our goal is because I feel like that's everybody, all of our goals is just to freak each other out and stuff, because there's been too many times both in playing vampires and then playing Doom to Repeat where somebody has curveballed or said something where I was just wait, and trying to process it, and then realize as we continued oh shit, I know about this. It's a part of my backstory. Why are you bringing it into the story? I can't.
Exactly. You're totally right. Richter, you dance to the tune of the dice almost, right? It's sort of all right, here's the number. Let's see the steps.
Exactly.
I mean, it's almost at this point, part of my prep in one of these games is literally just, do I have a curveball? Do I have some wild thing that I've rooted back from 20 sessions ago or whatever, to now use as just a point of pressure, a activator, a repercussion, and anything, right? You can just use that as a way to weave. Yeah. Okay. So was it always homebrew? Have you run certain systems, obviously it's a little bit more conducive to a certain set storyline, but has it always been mostly homebrew for you?
For me, GMing, yes. I pick from places. I'll spend hours researching things that kind of fit along the lines of what I want. But yeah, but I'm not really running modules for my games. Other people in Mayday overall will might pull from modules and places and stuff like that, but it's always a pretty much a mix of primarily homebrew stuff.
Right on. So
Yeah,
like, oh no, please.
I don't like to be like held down by the rules of adventures and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I rather just like make my own. I'm kind of in that way.
Got you. No, that's rad. So like, can we kind of pull back on some of that? Like, what does it look like? I mean, you get like an idea for one thing where you're like, okay, this is dope. Like I have an idea for a situation or an aspect in the world, or you know, a BBEG that wants something specific. Like what does that process look like?
When I mean, for campaign stuff, it's really been kind of like sandbox. I'll build just random encounters and then let's start fleshing out what people want to go into. Because like it really depends. You know, I've had a very eclectic mix of people play with me who are like, some people are definitely like, I want to be a combat person and I want to go and fight stuff and beat stuff. But I've had a lot of other people who are more interested in the investigation parts and the more exploration stuff. So it really, I like to, like, when I start a campaign, do just like you know, like that get together episode, that get together a moment where, you know, I hate when you all meet at a tavern.
The tavern, yeah. No, so I was about to ask, like, where did they meet in this latest? You know,
most of my people, when I run when I run an actual campaign with them, I start them on a boat, on a merchant ship.
I was about to say a boat,
because it's the dumbest thing to get them all together. You
can't leave.
Can't leave. You can't go anywhere. But you know, I make this
great.
really fancy. I have this really fancy merchant ship that they get to hang out in, and then there's an encounter that will eventually. I have it set up where it kind of leads. It's open led, so like however that ending, I don't want to spoil it because I like to
keep it
people. However that initial ends leads to, like, you can just show up wherever in the world. And then we just go from there. But I like try to do the first few sessions of just like random general encounters to kind of get people interested, try to throw a couple like plot lines in that might involve individual characters to see who's going to actually bite it, you know, who's going to be the first one who's going to like, no, I want to take on this, you know. As people feel it out, get comfortable with their, you know, I also play with a lot of new people, so I want to get people comfortable with how to play with magic, how to play with what they got in their action banks and stuff like that.
That sounds like such. Oh yeah, no, please.
And then we just finally, once we latch on to something, then we start going
like dive into it.
Then we start really diving into it. Yeah,
that's amazing. Okay, that's hilarious. Okay, first off, Lord Richter, players do have depth, especially when they start at sea. All right, that's just a fact. That's a punny fact. But I do love that in the sense that, like, you ain't jumping overboard. All right. It's choppy and you can't swim that far. But that sounds like such an awesome way to, I mean, of course, just like be following what is most interesting to your table and really putting it in the player's hands in terms of like, y'all drive, you know, like which way do we want to go? There's multiple tracks we can hop on. Yeah. But it's also like, this is something I feel like that comes up particularly in one campaign where, as storylines get investigated, as like players' backstories get kind of pried open, then there almost starts to be a sense of like, I will offer something, or I will write an aspect, an arc that I know is TBD, you know, where I'm kind of like, well, I'm not really sure who this is, or I'm not really sure why that is, and I'm going to wait to understand it from the player's actions. Exactly. And it sounds like a lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah, like in Ashoka, in the Precious Cargo, you know, everybody had kind of multiple different backgrounds, and depending on where they chose to actually sail, like I gave them a map, right? I gave them a map because it's a one shot, so we, you know, it was or a multi shot, but it was just like it had an intended end. So I gave them a map, and I was like, red dot line.
Yeah.
It's like, I need you to
It
go
starts.
here, I need you to go here, and I need you to go here.
I
But
love
then
that.
as you know, but as they went, then they decided to veer off course. So I had like a sub map of like, here's your dot where you decided to go off course. And I told them, it's like, depending on where you guys, if you follow the line, cool. That's gonna lead to things. And it's like, but I just let you know, if you deviate at any point, things will happen. And
Yes.
and they deviated. And
Oh
shit
God,
happened.
I love it.
I was like, there's things about certain people that, I will trigger shit, and you're gonna have to deal with it. Because, I told I think I mentioned that, like, if you guys don't make it to the end, that's also a part of the story.
Yeah, that's cool.
We'll see how this really goes, because we only have this many episodes to finish this.
Yeah, that's very you know what? And yeah, and we'll get the specific link on that. That was through Mayday as well, of course. Yeah, we'll totally link that at the end. I can't wait to check that out. But it is especially true whenever you have an 8-episode arc or a 10-episode arc or whatever. It is locked in and finite. That's just like how much time you have. I'm curious, like, and it's okay if you don't, no worries if you don't want to answer this. I'm curious, what would have happened had they died? Like, had an encounter gotten the best of them, and not to reveal, but like, would you have just told them? Would they have re-entered as different characters, or?
With this particular arc, I mean, I was hoping not to like murder them. That was never my goal and intentions to murder them for this particular one. But I don't want to spoil it, but the cargo that they were carrying, it was very important for it to get to a specific place. So if the cargo didn't arrive at a certain time in a certain place, it would have changed how the world would have continued and pushed on.
Got it. So you had some understanding of what that consequence would look like.
Yeah, there was some general. I mean,
cool.
the world in the campaign is set in with two kingdoms in stalemate. So everybody understands that, like, that stalemate could change over time. So this was something that was kind of in regards to that. So they know that, like, power could change and stuff like that if this wasn't successful. So it could be a much more bigger, like a ripple that would, expand into something much, much bigger in the grander scheme of things.
That's fucking rad.
Yeah.
Truly. Like, I mean, that's like, already I'm like, all right, cool. I should have scrolled further back, because I had that same thought, but I enjoyed, like, hearing you as a player. You know what I mean? Because, like, clearly, like, you know what I mean? Because, like, clearly you're having a blast, but it's also something where, I mean, in the same ways you can create tons of trouble and, like, make things, more complicated for your DM. I think you also, like, understand the world so well, and, like, the format that, a DM player only can. That's incredible. So are you guys, like, can we talk about what's next, like, for you as a GM? You have anything, like, you're working on right now that you're particularly spiced about, or?
Yeah, I mean, I've been kind of off D&D right now because of all the shenanigans with Wizard of the Coast and stuff like that. Like, I want to play more Ashoka, but I'm having a hard time figuring out if D&D is the space for it moving forward.
Yeah, copy that.
But I have been, but as I've been exploring more and more different TTRPGs and stuff like that, I've been more interested in other shit. So, gotcha. Which is fine. So I'm not, like, missing out. But I've been playing a game called Orbital Blues, which is a sad boy space western.
Okay, can we just, first off, let's stop at sad boy space western, because sign me up.
It's so
I've been training my whole life.
Yeah.
I'm ready. I'm ready to slap this horse's ass and send him into the sunset.
Fuck yeah.
Yo, Sage, get in here. That bugle was for you, dog.
So fucking good. It's from Soul Muppet Publishing. It's called Orbital Blues.
Yeah, that's sick.
It's a really interesting game. It's
what's
very
the story on it? I've never heard of it.
I found it just because, like, I was on a Cowboy Bebop kick because Bebop came out last year. I mean, not ignore the live action, but but they put the originals on Netflix.
Gotcha. Yeah, the ones.
The true ones. So I was like, fuck, man, I fucking love Orbital Blues. I love, like, the 90s grungy space vibes, and stuff like that. I'm a child of Toonami, and shit like that. So I stumbled on Orbital Blues because one of our patrons had mentioned it because I was saying, hey, I'm looking for like a Western kind of thing. But it's a D6 rule light game that's meant for you to kind of look at, exploring sad troubles and stuff like that. There's like a mechanic called blues.
Ooh,
Um,
whoa, 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 whoa.
yeah. So it's more
They
about your
have
feelings and shit.
mechanized the sadness.
Yes. So yeah, so the game has every character has what's called a
Whoa.
trouble.
That's awesome.
Um yeah, it has a trouble, which is like just the sad boy thing that your character has, your shtick. And
For
if
me, it's the weeping, but yes.
yeah. And if your character engages in actions or in role playing that touches on that sad boyness, you will earn blues points, which deepens your sadness. And then essentially
What the
blues is a
fuck?
currency in this game. So like you need to be sadder so that you can do stuff. But my above all, the one thing I really like about this game is called the Swan Song mechanic. It's a mechanic designed to kill your character, and it's so
No.
fucking.
Yeah.
It's essentially like in Mario when you eat the rainbow mushroom and you become like super invincible for 5 seconds. It's essentially that. So if you've accumulated enough troubles and blues and stuff like that, you can activate your Swan Song, which means that you can like just murder, kill, take as much damage as you want.
For
You're
like for a
for
minute
for a set amount of time in the
okay,
scene.
okay.
The only thing about it is that at the end of the scene, when you're done with it, you die. That's it.
Wow.
You end your life. So if
Wow.
you want to be that that character that like I'll stay back while you all escape and stuff like that, and I'm gonna be that guy,
Wow.
just sacrifice. It's really
Wow.
yeah, super super fucking fun,
That is
ridiculous,
so rowdy. Um
super rowdy, and it's rules
I
light so that
mean,
you can move things a little bit as fast as slow as you want to. I like to run it as a live a old radio like night variety hour
yeah, yeah,
show.
yeah, sure.
That's how we
Different guest stars.
different stories just
Yeah,
coming
different
around the whole
bands.
orbital blues and shit like
Sure.
that. Yes,
Maybe an occasional animal act. 100%.
exact. And it's super fun because like you can bring so much of the sci-fi tropes into it and stuff like that because like um the game's not designed for like animals or anthropomorphic creatures and stuff like that, but I've had people bring some of the most ridiculous concepts to the table. Like we had a space dog boy, because they made up this whole lore where like this conglomerate shipping company uses dogs to ship long distance and stuff like that, and he's
Like
one of
they're the
these
pilots.
they're the pilots. Yeah, they're the pilots.
This
And
sounds a lot like Wolf, who
yeah.
I let's fucking go, dude. Yo, Goose is up
They're
for
just
Wolf.
yeah, they're just like, yeah, can I play a anthropomorphic space dog? And I'm like,
So is he a
yeah,
sad boy or is he a good boy? That's my
he's a good
question.
boy.
All
He's a
right,
good he was
get
the
over here,
goodest
good boy.
boy.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, the trouble's called party animal, which means that like you don't want to like do anything but like you want to numb all the sadness and the shit that's going on in your world by partying, and you'll put partying and the good times above everything.
Dude,
um
this sounds like the 2 weeks. This sounds like someone ripped out from my journal the 2 weeks after I watched 310 to Yuma. And all I was doing was like, yeah, I want to write some fucking high stakes Western shit. There's gonna be geese. There's gonna be some other shit, and like that's just beautiful. Okay, so Orbital Blues. That's so rad.
yeah,
So
super good.
like you guys are so easy with moving between formats and like or
Yeah.
systems rather, which I love. Like I really I need to do more of that. So like because Orbital Blues, like I've wanted to run Spelljammer, but this sounds like a system that creates such a tone and an ambiance.
Yeah.
Like with how it's incentivizing
Yeah.
certain things and
It's also set in like this really, it's like hyper capitalistic world. Like it's all about like you are a crew in the gig economy, like you're trying to survive, and all of this stuff.
Copy
and
that.
how do you navigate through that? And it gives you like just enough futuristicness, but like tries to like remind you about like the golden age of like humanity and society and stuff like that before everything went to shit.
yeah.
And now you're just all of you are just wandering from place to place in the frontier galaxy trying to live and survive.
Yeah.
So it's super
Dude,
good.
that's fucking rad. So, okay, so so two-parted question. I'm curious because you talk about how, I mean, I feel like running so many different systems and then also being so creative with homebrew, right? Like so thorough as well. Do you find yourself occasionally when you're running these games, on or off stream, like running combos? Like, is there a working Ghost of Eli super system that you're building? You know what I mean? Like, because like I feel like I couldn't help myself from doing that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Not necessarily. I mean, I have pulled some mechanics in from other systems to handle like my D&D stuff.
Cool.
But I mean, I'm also starting to like dabble in like game creation as well. I've made a couple games last year, primarily like on Caltrip Core, if you don't know Lex's Caltrip Core system.
I don't.
Um,
That's a,
yeah,
what's the elevator pitch?
Oh, Caltrip Core is an introductory to writing SRDs games. It uses the D4 as its primary dice and stuff like that. So it's been able to create these really interesting, very rule light games using the D4. So like I have a game called like We Lick Toe Goblins, which is about just goblins trying to get random objects for their community. And all it is that you
Goblins
want to go
gotta
do
eat.
goblins gotta eat. All you want to do is like you got it in a counter, you want to take an action, you roll a d4, and 4 means you succeeded, 1 means you don't succeed, and that's pretty much it. And like 3s and 2s are like you succeeded but there's a complication, and or
I
you
got
you
you.
didn't make it but there's an opportunity for a 3. um so yeah, it's just a very simple way, but now that I've got a couple of those under my belt, I've been trying to write more complicated games. So that's where I'm starting to like go and like, oh, I really liked the D10 system from Delta Green, uh because I find it to be a little bit more streamlined and understanding what your skill sets are. And then especially for combat, we're not so clunky in combat, because that's why I feel like D&D sometimes is a little
For
clunky.
sure, it asks a lot.
um
If yeah,
yeah, so I want to be able to move a lot faster, or like I like how some games handle like flaws, for instance, and making sure that players are incorporating flaws into their character creation, because I think sometimes we try to escape away from being flawed characters,
yeah,
and that doesn't make good storytelling.
yeah,
I
yeah,
want to know why you're bad. um
yeah.
so yeah, so that's kind of where I'm now starting to steal stuff. But overall in my GMing, um I'm pretty like stick to the rule systems and stuff like that. Um and I'll just make arbitrary decisions if I need to make something
Sure.
outside of mechanic stuff. Um yeah.
No, that's it. That's it. So like, okay, maybe in the, you know what, use whatever system example you'd like for this question, but I'm curious because MapPro I know, and truly MapPro as a name is completely accurate. He was dropping some of his homebrew maps into one of the discords, and dude, it's spellbinding. Like, you are truly gifted at map making. You are a cartographer. Well done. You have accomplished it. But similar to kind of Lord Richter and MapPro's spat about owlbears, and similar just to like prep heavy versus light. If you're again running whatever system you like, does that, I'm just curious what that prep process looks like. Like, is it more just you thinking about things and getting ready to rip? Are you like a Google Doc, or I mean, like how do you like to both track your campaigns and then prepare for a sesh?
um I definitely, when it comes to prepping for campaigns, I'm definitely heavy on the top of prep, and as we
Yeah.
continue on, I get lighter. Um, Mainly because like the first session you're gonna have is primarily you, because you as a DM have to set the setting, set the tone, put the intrigue out there, get everybody ready to immerse so that they can start making choices, making decisions, and play.
Yeah.
But after that, I start to get sparser and sparser. I have a Google Doc usually, or several Google Docs, honestly. But I usually have a campaign outline doc, which is I'll work off of that as I go. So I'll put all of my general prep, but everything is outlined because I just don't have time. I don't I'm neurospicy and
Yeah,
my brain
yeah.
doesn't function like that. So everything I do is written in shorthand. So I put everything on just a general outline of intentions I want to do, and then I'll have tabs up of all of the tables and stuff like that I have to like
Yeah, cool.
utilize, and that's it.
Cool.
So sometimes I'll have a lot of stuff to write on my outline. Sometimes it'll be like a sentence of like, I got to get these goobers here, and that's it.
Yo, that's a
whatever,
note.
whatever we do to
That's a
get it
fucking note,
yeah.
though. Yeah. We gotta get these
Like
goobers here
they
yesterday.
have to end here. For the
No,
love of
no,
God.
this is no joke at all. Like, top of the past 2 session notes for me have literally been all caps, drive them into the sewers. Like, that's literally been the message to myself. I'm like, yes, thank you, Past John. Yes, I will.
They keep ignoring it, but they need to go here.
No, exactly. I'm like, find a different way to drag them into the sewers. No, like, and I just didn't want to presume that, but that's what I gathered from you talking about just building, building Ashoka, and it's just that, it sounds like a lot of the prep process is truly front loaded, where you're trying to take in like a lot of concept, a lot of map location, right? And trying to set yourself up to then be able to know your world so well that you can, build it session by session, like with the table.
I mean, for me, I don't want to end up writing myself into a hole, because I find if I write something that I want them to end up doing, then I'm going to be forced to have to try to take that route. But if I keep it light and I keep it a little on the loose end, when one of them actually finds a cool beat, I'm like, oh shit, perfect.
Yeah, let's check that out.
Let's see if I can slip that in here instead, and then it becomes a little bit more natural and stuff like that. That I'm not like railroading or having to shoulder check and nudge them into a direction. It feels a little bit more fluid, that I'm just like, all right, I need this to happen, but I'm willing to wait and see who's going to be that person who's going to give me that opportunity to swing that in.
Yeah, got it.
And if not, then I will have to now circle back and try to weave it into it. But primarily trying to get it to come in naturally like that. And so I'm not writing myself, backing myself into a corner, essentially.
No, totally feel that. And I think that's hard for a lot of people to do, but I think that's really, really rad. I mean, clearly that's like how structured storytelling in that element like really flows well for you, and so you lean into that. Like, that's awesome. I occasionally can tap into that as well, and it's really nice. Like, I mean, there's no better feeling though whenever, I mean, like, all of so much of what you're talking about, I think is only possible whenever there's just such a high level of like trust, and you want your players to have fun. You know what they find fun, right? And then therefore it's so easy to like leave the door open. But you mentioned railroading, and it made me just want to ask, like, what is what is both railroading in your term? I mean, like, we know what it is, but I mean, like, is there a, like, do you ever view it as, like, I sometimes think of it as like, I've built a bunch of railroads, and there's like a bunch of stops and a bunch of like 3-way splits in the track, or whatnot. And all the time the players would just go to the front of the train and light a stick of dynamite and throw it right underneath the front car. So boom, right. And then they'll wander off to the east. But I'm more just like, not in a right or wrong, or I'm more just like curious how you both avoid that and sort of view it within the world of your tables.
I try to avoid it. I mean, I see railroading more as like when you're on a track and not having those multiple tracks, because having those multiple tracks gives you options to segue off. Railroading to me is like, you can only go this way and that's it. I try to avoid it as much as possible. I do, in that opening campaign thing that I mentioned, I do railroad a little bit because the goal is not to stay here. The goal is to go
Yeah.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, and I want you to trust me that this is not the end. That this is going somewhere else.
Yeah. The ship is literally in motion. All right.
Yeah. The only time I'll really be more open to trying to railroad is when we're in one-shot territory and situations, only in the guise of, but that's more of like a session 0 conversation of like, we are here, this is a one-shot.
Yeah.
We have goals and intentions and
we are in the middle of it. Yeah.
we're in the thick of things where we all decided to come together. We don't have time to talk about that one guy who was like, I don't know if I should do this. It's like, no, stop it. We're doing it.
No, for sure.
Or railroad in more of a like a putting a producer's hat on and being like, hey guys, we're getting out of hand. We're going so far off the map and stuff like that. We're not gonna finish this campaign. We're not gonna get done.
And Eli, what does that look like? Is that you in a 3-piece suit and a mustache? Like, like just coming in, like introducing
like
yourself.
A hard lamp, just leaning in.
100%. Sit the fuck down. No.
And it happens sometimes. Like that's also in something that we do at Mayday as well. So it's not every now and again a GM just has to knock on the door and go, hey guys. And just letting you know that if we don't button this up, we're gonna have problems.
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time in the lava cave. I didn't.
Yeah, so we spent so much here on this one random island. I need you all to leave. It's like summer is a ticking, and only because it's episode 7, and we got 3 more episodes to go. So tell me how you're gonna make this work.
Yeah, there is a plague on this island.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I can appreciate so easily where you're coming from. And I want to take some of these comments because I feel like they are extremely apt. And I feel like in general, it's really just about finding what works for you, like structurally. You're the GM. You're going to have to run this out for, even if it's a one shot or a 2-year campaign, you're going to be the one that is going to have to be putting on the DM hat week after week or month after month, whatever it is. But I love it because MapPro, I know your style and I've seen a lot of it and it clearly works for you. It's beautiful. Daryl says my notes are usually just for the NPCs that have actual lore and could end the PCs easily if shenanigans get out of hand. Agreed. The level 20 shopkeep. And then Richter says, I like well-developed settings, not necessarily lots of data or maps or notes, but well thought and imagined. And I feel like, one, completely agree with all of that. Fair chat. But I think it's also somewhat situational. Like, I definitely fall victim to over prep in the sense that like I enjoy it. Like I'm kind of like, you know what? Okay, look, I really want to make sure I understand this setting, or I have a couple cool beats of dialogue that I can, again, like there's sort of land that lore or land a fun encapsulation or a in character coherent reveal of something. Like I want that to be tight, but I definitely find that in general, the most useful amount of my time is either just making sure pragmatically I have like the right map or the right 3 maps that I can be fluid with, and or taking time to take a 30-minute walk and just like think about or listen to what happened, like the last episode or whatever. But what have you found? Because you talk about it getting kind of like maybe a little bit easier, a little bit less prep, like as things go on, because the world is now in motion, it's already in momentum. Like, what would you say have been like some either areas of growth or like some kind of tips, tricks you've seen going from that session 0 of homebrewed content to then, session 8 that's in full swing? And I just want you to know you have be warned, there's a very cute dog behind you. So just be.
This is my hippo.
Come on, bugles up. Oh, if we're lucky, right around 6, we'll get a little sweet little donkey boy kicking through. The hippo and the donkey. That might be the title of the app. I'll make a note.
My favorite thing about TTRPG streaming is the pets we all get to meet along the way.
Dude, that is hilarious. It's about the pets we meet along the way.
Meet along the way. Yeah, it's always in the background when I'm playing.
No, for sure. And guys,
every time she sees my microphone get pulled over on my desk, she's like, "Oh boy, better go fucking lay down, snuggle in."
Same. It's easier for me sometimes just to know that I'm like can find him there. I'm like, you know what? Truly, I think if I just pulled out everything and put the webcam up and didn't stream, he would come and sit right here. You know what I mean? Like, so out of knowledge. Oh, that's so good. But I completely interrupted you. Apologies. Like, what have you found has been kind of some of the difference from now to even 2020?
Of like my overall like DMing process?
Yeah, the process, and like particularly the difference in, because we've talked about kind of what it looks like for your homebrew process, and a lot of that is, you know, taking inspiration, you know, making notes where you need to. But just I'm curious how different that process looks from preparing for episode 7 or session 20.
I mean, honestly, it doesn't really vary and stuff like that, because it's just kind of the system I've ended up developing, and this is what I developed as I was going, because you know, Mayday was kind of the second really big team that I had play through Ashoka, so this was me developing this whole system of like, oh, I can back off on things, especially with the tables that I actually trust. So now I know. I think one of the things is like, cool. I know that when and where I need to prep for. So if I'm playing with newer people or people that I'm not necessarily familiar with playing and stuff like that, then I know that I need to bring more attention to at the table. I need to be able to provide more opportunities for little, you know, extra stuff until we all have gelled and had an opportunity to play, and then maybe I can start backing off. But with Mayday, I was like, wow, I know all these people, I trust them at the table to take everything that I'm throwing at them seriously, or, you know, with good intention, and I know that they're, you know, that they're here to play and they want to play, and, you know, and they're bringing that same energy back. So I know that I don't have to prep everything. I know that I could get into a situation where I can step back and just let them fucking talk and play and act and perform, and stuff like that. And then slowly be like, oh, well, they've been talking for like 20 fucking minutes. Let's start pushing narrative back into play and stuff like that. But that came with overall being with them and stuff like that, and realizing, oh wow, why do I need to prep when they're gonna prep for me? You know, when they all have when they all come with their intentions, it's like, this is what I want to accomplish while we're in our next session and stuff like that. It's like perfect.
Yeah.
You know, and we've had so many of those moments across all the different games and stuff like that, where our GMs and stuff like that have been able to just take a step back and just watch. That's cool, and that's so cool too. That's a great thing as a DM, you know, being a GM, or especially with this table, because you realize that like, you are also a player, you know, and sometimes we don't really consider or compare.
Gotta remember that,
you know, that our GMs, you know, yes, we like to build the settings and the worlds and the encounters and the problem solving that you need to do, but we also like to watch.
Yeah, we're also trying to party. Yeah,
I'm also trying to party. Nothing makes me more accomplished as a GM to have set some of this shit in motion and then get to back and watch my work play out. And just be like, this is what I wanted. I wanted you to fight about this stuff.
Eli, that's so good. You know? I knew you wanted this and you wanted this. Y'all sort it out.
I was like, yeah, you figure it out. You tell me how you want to move forward with this, you know?
Dude, that is so good. And listen, that was, I don't remember exactly what the example was earlier, but that is exactly, put those lazy jerks to work. Yo, write my campaign, bro.
Yeah, no, write for me.
But there, yeah, exactly. Yo, let's find out what's cool. But there was some reference point to, I mean, it really is. It's like throwing a grenade into a field of random items. Like, you don't know what's about to get blown any direction, but it's super fun to see. And whenever you kind of curate the random items getting blown sporadically, then you can have a small, small amount of impact. I feel like I just kind of want to share this because I feel like it's sort of prescient to this. But recently, introduced the idea, like basically we have a rogue character in one of these versions of like a 5e campaign, and he essentially broke into an area of Silvery Moon. Don't really know why, other than he was just sort of rogan, and he stole some plans that ended up being very, very sensitive. There's like old school Silvery Moon has these mythal wards, so like there's no magic. They block certain stuff. I always thought that was fucking sick, but anyway, I introduced it just because I was like, this is sensitive material, and there's nothing else that needs to be really considered by me other than they would probably exist inside like the inner sanctum of the Star Court, and what would happen if they were anywhere other than in a safe place. And of course the answer was like they made it across the map and into the hands of a crime lord, and and that's just sort of the shit that I don't know. I think clearly you have like such a firm grasp on that, and that takes a ton of experience in reps. Or I think also that's just the way that like you flow with it, which is awesome. But I think the more that even within a module, one is able to find that fluidity, just certainly the funner the game becomes, and I think the more connected the player's decisions become to the campaign. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So kudos to you because you're crushing that.
Thank you.
So like, do you I know that all these systems are different, and not that there's any like particular right one. Like, do you enjoy like the RP and the intrigue? Like, do you like really miss when there's not combat? Like what have you found? Because you talk about being fun for you, the GM. I'm curious, like what you find most fun.
Lately, I've been more fun with like the RP and exploration kind of stuff. I think that's just mainly because of the games that I've been playing that are a little bit further away from combat, which I don't mind actually. I feel like combat should be, necessary at specific parts. It shouldn't be the goal to solve a problem, because I feel like that's I can tell when I'm playing with a lot of people who've like been D&D heavy is because their first like answer to any problem is to fucking swing a hand at it.
No, you've seen my games. Yes.
Yeah, especially especially with like with Vegas, and right, all of us have not played Vampire the Masquerade like that. So all of us have come from a place where, we have all these cool powers. Should we fight them?
Should we use them?
Should we use them? And then you come to find out that it's a political intrigue game. So it's more about how you talk to people and how you finesse things. Like violence is present and there, but like you should be using your words to solve your problems. And I feel like, through this whole entire season, we have finally gotten to the end of it and realizing we need to stop throwing hands and start focusing on on using our words. And it's been
use your words.
It's been a great lesson to learn.
It's a hard one to get in.
But that's kind of why I like it and stuff like that is realizing that you can, that there are other solutions to problems. Even Delta Green was one of the biggest like shocks to me with Delta Green was the hit points, the amount of hit points you have.
Okay, got it. You see, I've never played it, so yeah,
because you're an actual human being, so human beings only have
like 8 hit points.
Yeah, like my character has like 12 hit points, like, and that's because like they're in the military, so
you work out exactly
a little bit more robust and can take a hit. But then you look at how much like weapons can deal damage and stuff like that, and then you realize, wow, a gunshot will really fuck you up, and it could really kill you. And especially like some weapons have lethality mechanics attached to it, so you roll additional dice.
Power word gun.
Yeah. Boom. So yeah, exactly. You could literally blow somebody away in one shot, and that just nothing scares you more faster.
That when enters the chat. It's like, oh shit.
When the first blow you ever hit was like 3 points of damage, and you only have 6 points, and everybody's going, holy, wait, what? Dude. And that's a part of the fear.
Has anyone out there else played Delta Green? Like, tell me about Delta Green, Eli. Like, I've never, Orbital Blues, like, I got it. I'm just diving into Cypher, so I feel like I have dipped my toe. I'm like getting outside D&D.
So yeah, Delta Green is basically the whole premise is that you are a part of a secret government organization
Okay, right.
that is meant to eradicate or discover these Lovecraftian based monsters. So it uses the lore from Lovecraft.
Oh, that's
Um
so sick.
but
That's
it's
scary and
not it's
intense.
yeah, it's scary and intense, so you get into these really deep mythos like storylines. But the thing about it is that like these are everyday people, so like even though people are from the government, are from the military and stuff like that, they're not sanctioned by these agencies. They don't even know this agency exists. But some of these people are just everyday like people, and in the core books and stuff like that, you can design characters that are just like, a mom at home who somehow got fucking caught up in this,
A
or
CIA
research.
asset.
It's
Yeah.
primarily centric around like research types and security types and stuff like that. So we play our game Doomed to Repeat is based on a group of agents that came together
Interesting.
during the pandemic, because we do touch on the pandemic a little bit. But they are just trying to uncover lore from the past of this organization that's been kind of lost, because this one guy destroyed a bunch of information, so they have
Got it.
from a certain date back they don't have information
In
anymore.
this is okay. You can say you can punt.
Yeah.
All right. You can punt or punch. Your
Yeah.
move. But is the full circle like? Did they end up finding? I mean, is it some meta ass shit where it's like the group was, the Congressional Congress of Philadelphia, like it was, like the founders of the
Yeah, I
CIA, or I
mean,
mean, it seems like it's
I
like
mean, I don't know I haven't had the luxury of like diving too deep into it, because it's been kind of like, our GM Sergio is like, don't
don't look it
don't
up.
don't look it
Yeah.
up. I want you to experience it as it goes. But from what we've been able to discover, like this program has like such deep rooted like hands and things.
Got
And the
you.
cool thing about it is that we're able to bring like us as agents, or what we're playing in real time, or like the current time is all homebrew, but we are incorporating module based scenarios into the game by going into the past. So in the middle of us playing, if we trigger a piece of information and we get like, a case file and stuff like that, we'll go and play out that scenario, which is actually a pre-written module that was written for the game.
Damn.
And we'll go explore it. Like for instance, our first one was we did 1984 in Detroit during
As in the setting of
Devil's.
Orwell's 1984.
No, not in the setting of our.
Oh, okay.
We went from the 2022 to
Oh, got it.
1984, Devil's Night in Detroit, and Halloween, and ran this whole investigation story that happened there, that we discovered as we were trying to get information about the program that we work for.
Got it.
So
Damn.
yeah, but what I really like about this game and stuff like that is it's not about fighting the monsters in the world. It's about realizing that you yourself are a monster.
Don't say it. Damn it. She said it. Absolutely. No.
Because this system does use, it does touch on sanity mechanics and stuff like that. As you continue to investigate things, it takes a toll on you as a character.
Whoa.
And how you,
like, as in like stress, psychological, like
stress,
it's too
yeah,
much.
they had it, yeah. So they do have all of those kinds of
Damn.
mechanics that touch into, how does somebody
That's
deal
awesome.
with being hit at a breaking point and stuff like that. People do develop psychological issues as they continue to progress, based on how, depending on where their character goes. And this book really details out how to handle that stuff. So, all of our characters are dealing with a lot of heavy shit.
Speed reader to a large degree. Like, clearly your memory and your capacity to read is like very high. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Try to, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but it also comes down, like I was saying, like with having GMs and stuff like that are very passionate about their games and stuff like that. They're the ones who have like a very high intrinsic knowledge of the whole system,
100%.
mechanics and all.
That's the backbone for sure.
So yeah, so it's easy for us to get into our session zeros, talk about world building and stuff like that, with our GMs helping us navigate that, because they know what we need, what they're expecting, and how to, tailor it according to the system itself. So we always have, as we're playing, we always have a general level of support from our GMs, because
knowing what's up.
no, yeah, because if you ever go and try to crack open the Vampire the Masquerade book, that shit is so fucking dense. It's a thick ass book. It's got so much lore, like the World of Darkness lore for vampires is so deep because there's so much stuff that needs to be addressed and talked about. In terms of clans, in terms of what it is to be a fucking vampire, what the fuck is the
Damn.
masquerade,
What it is
and
to
then
be a vampire.
what it
Another
is to be a
great
vampire,
question. I don't know.
all of that shit.
It
And then,
involves like a
and they
lot
have
of,
all these books too. Yeah, so
you know, right there.
exactly.
No, that's insane.
But with Caleb being so loving the system so much and putting in the hours to get a whole grasp of the lore, anytime we have questions, every time we want to stuff like that, he can quickly be like, oh yeah, that we can totally work that shit into the grander scheme of things. So having a GM that is very versed in the games that they love, just helps us too. Because I make, for Orbital Blues, I've made mechanic sheets that are just like, these are the mechanics you should be focusing on. Not like, I know there's a bunch of other stuff.
That's so helpful though. What a thoughtful GM.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, because you don't want to worry about it, and especially because we are playing games fairly quickly. I mean, Vampires Masquerade and like Doom to Repeat, those are our big campaign stuff. So that's stuff that we have had time to study and learn about the mechanics and all of that stuff. But when we play smaller games and shorter games like Orbital Blues was just a quick stuff. How do I help everybody? So that they can make really cool characters and not have to feel like they're going to lose out on the experience because they're not very familiar with mechanics, or this is a whole new system that they got to kind of learn and stuff like that.
That's hard to do, right? I mean, in terms of, or it can be daunting to sort of take on a new system, and it sounds like so obvious, but I feel like it doesn't, for how much it doesn't happen, it clearly isn't, that the GM does have to know it, or at least be willing to know its core really, really well. Otherwise, it's like there's just too much lawyering and adjudicating, and there's no consistency, right? And I would say, just because I feel like I'm very familiar with a lot of your stuff, really, but I hadn't really dove into Mayday as much, and have just this weekend last, and I mean, yes, the synergy is so clear. Like, you guys enjoy each other, have a ton of trust, have a ton of fun. But it as you're saying that, I'm like, it's very clear that Caleb loves Vampire the Masquerade. You know what I mean? Like, that passion, that desire to craft it just shines through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's been crafting this whole world for over a year before we even got to play in it, and how his whole system to world build has been insane. Oh yeah, my last bit of water.
Damn it, I hate that feeling.
I can tell how much Caleb loves what he's putting out into the game, and the same for Sergio, same for everybody else who's gotten a chance to play a system or the game that they wanted to play. It's there, which just makes me want to play even better and be and bring more to the table.
Get to know it.
When I feel the passion, that I want, I want to also bring that too.
And it sounds like that was would you say there's an equivalency between Caleb and Vampire the Masquerade in you and Orbital Blues?
Yeah.
Because I feel like you captured that really well. I'm sold on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I really fell in love with the system. I spent weeks fucking reading it and stuff like that. And I was like, I had a hankering for the Westerns. So yeah. And I was just like, I have this really great idea. Here, do it. And then, getting a chance. I mean, when I got to play Orbital Blues, that was my first time really getting to play this. So we were all kind of new at it. It wasn't something that I had played a lot prior to it. I only had found it within a few couple months, but because I liked it and I was really passionate and I really had something that I wanted to tell with it, it was received. Everybody brought great table. I mean, even for that, because we did that with we brought I don't know if you know Amber from the space. We had Amber come and play at our table as well. So it was the first time we really had a guest.
Are they the Space Amber?
Yes, the Space Amber.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes. So, that was also the first time we've had somebody who's been outside of our table actually come in and play with us as well. So, it was a lot of new things going on, but
Dude, that's awesome.
because I was really into it and I had everything prepped and planned and stuff like that, it was just as seamless as we would be playing any of our more longer term campaigns where we've taken more time to get ready and to play and stuff like
No,
that. So
that's so rad.
yeah.
Gosh, I mean, I guess I'm like really distracted by already like mentally preparing my campaign to be the second person brought in to play at Mayday. No, but like I'm curious, like was Amber was she was there a specific? I guess were they a villain? And were
they were a member of the crew and stuff like that. So
okay,
I mean,
cool.
they just joined as being one of the members of the team of with everybody else at Mayday. So they were just getting to have a kind of a firsthand experience at it.
Got you, and appreciate that, Daryl. Good to know.
Yes, they them.
But that's awesome. So, like, did the DM bring them in? I mean, just basically be like, "Yo, this person's rad. Let's play with them." Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm friends with Amber and stuff like that, and I've gotten to hang out with them in the space and stuff like that. And we just were in a situation where we just needed another person at the table, and we're always open to trying to see what new avenues are. We like to play with we like to play with just ourselves and stuff like that, but we wanted to see how maybe including more people into our space, how would that work for us. So it was good for me because at least as a GM, I knew Amber, and they were so willing to join and have an opportunity to play with everybody else. So at least for me all of my players were people that I knew, so I was comfortable GMing in that situation. But new players still have to learn and feel out each other and stuff like that. But it didn't seem like we had that kind of issue with with that, mainly because all the prep and everybody else at the table, us at Mayday, doing our usual stuff seems to be a good way to also help support new players at the table and all that stuff.
You said you play with a lot of new players. Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Well, yeah, because I do a lot of charity stuff. I do a lot of networking in the space and stuff like that. So I've had really awesome opportunities to get to meet so many different GMs as well as different kinds of players. I've played different ways and styles and stuff like that, kind of having to cater and learn how to
that's a lot.
Not efficient, but like to work within different table dynamics and stuff like that, because everybody's different.
Big time.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, can you share some of that experience and wisdom with us? Because like you're 1,000% right. Each table will be different, and there's almost like an alchemy within. Even if you have like a table and adding one person who everybody loves and wants to play with, that will still change the alchemy.
I mean, I find that the best thing, if you're a person who does like to jump from table to table, I mean, in general, especially if you're like networking in the space, like having session zeros are like important for those kinds of situations. Like when you can have a conversation with people outside of the table, like, and you're not just like, this is the first time I'm meeting you all, let's go role play together. And have 5 seconds where you can have like a general conversation with have 5 seconds to have a general conversation with people, then you can kind of click and understand, like like in a 30-minute session zero, you can kind of get who's more of a shyer individual, who's going to be your more outspoken people who are going to talk more. So like maybe these are the people that I need to like call upon instead to like make sure that they're included in the game versus other people that I know who are going to be
for sure
quick to react, and just to jump in head first and stuff like that. Try to suss out who's feeling what and trying to
and that can change, right?
It can change, because everybody's got different personalities, especially like I'm introverted and stuff like that. Sometimes I'll go and join a table and I'm a little bit more shyer than others because I just don't feel like I can be more open as an introvert. Other tables, I won't fucking shut up.
Yeah. Yeah,
and I'll
yeah.
just keep talking and stuff like that. It really depends on the people and the vibe.
Yeah.
Um, so I would follow that vibe and then trust how you are as a GM to be able to kind of meet those needs and to cater those needs
That's so well
for people.
put. 1,000%. In Richter, I feel that same way. Like, I mean, like, I'm not necessarily that person. Like, I'm way more like extroverted, kind of coming
Yeah.
off the walls. But there have been like playing with those players. Like, you do want to make sure that you're like, okay, so like, what are you doing? Character X, like what are
Yeah.
they doing right now? Right, to sort of loop in.
Yeah, let them be a part of it, but not and try to find it. Some people don't want to be called upon and stuff like that, but like just you trying to find a way to be inclusive and stuff. Because I've also played with a lot of new players and stuff, like people who have never done TTRPG before, and there's a little bit of a daunting, like putting your toe in the water kind of
Yeah.
situation. So you don't want them to feel like they're on the spot, they're uncomfortable. You want to just be like, yeah, hey, naturals, like, what would you do here? Or I've had players who are not comfortable with actually having dialogue based RPing. So I've tried to get them to segue into talking more about their actions and their feelings and stuff like that, while they
Gotcha.
allow me to kind of give general conversational beats instead. And that, and I found doing that with a player to understand, with new players and stuff, like doing something like more like that, eventually they get more comfortable to wanting to actually say something. But some people just need to feel it out, and it's really more about understanding the people when it comes to doing those things.
Please tell me if this has been your experience. I would say more than half the time with either, I mean, someone that would be considered, more shy, or a wallflower, or someone that does kind of need to be like engaged, like looped in. Excuse me. That so often those players will pull some ridiculous callback, where in terms of like just quiet doesn't mean like not engaged, or quiet doesn't mean not having fun, which
Yeah.
is sometimes like contrary to the common
Yeah.
markers that we look for in terms of engagement.
Totally.
Where
Yeah.
I'm like, you remember that? Like, holy shit,
Yeah.
lay on.
I mean, and that's why I play more, all the characters that I play are introverted based characters, because that's just in my wheelhouse, because also streaming for 2 to 3 hours is a lot, and depending on my day, I might not be so open. So if I play a very extroverted based character, I'm going to put myself in a situation where one day I might not want to be so engagey.
Yeah,
it's
engagey.
gonna be a it's gonna be a
Oh
problem.
no, I'm engagey.
But also just to show people that there are ways to be introverted and still TTRPG and still be able
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
to get the experience you want out of it, and that introverted characters are natural characters in stories. So you should also have them. Not everybody can be a
Yeah.
bold and brave fucking individual. Some people should be not talking often, and you've probably seen that in Vampires, where my character Niles is not a very talkative character.
Yeah.
Niles is literally sitting in the background for a lot of stuff, and then when it's time, then I'm in there and then have to
Yeah,
deal with
when
that.
it's time,
um
indeed. Yeah.
yeah. um
No,
but yeah, so as long as you understand the people that you're with, or get at least a quick vibe check, then then you can be able to find the ways to support your players
yes.
at your table, which is very
And
important.
please give me your thoughts on this, Eli. Like this is especially for like newer players, or certainly for new tables in terms of me playing with them or a new combination. I think that can be an advantage of having kind of like a group session zero, in the sense
Mhm.
of having one that is not even, it's kind of out of character, like we're sort of talking about our characters, your characters,
Mhm.
the world, but just as friends and as
Yeah.
ourselves. And I think something like that can create some fun stuff. It can unite the party and while they're together, but you also catch a feel for how people interpersonal with each other. You know
Totally.
what I mean?
Absolutely.
And like
Yeah.
that's invaluable. Like,
Yeah.
but would you add anything to that, or like what have you seen in your experience helps?
I mean, yeah, doing those group sessions is definitely important, because, like I said, having those opportunities. Also, yeah, again, definitely a great time to be able to explain like difficult mechanics and stuff like that. That way people, if they have questions, it's better to ask questions now than in the middle of the game when you're panicking and trying to tell a story.
Yeah.
um
Hold up, I'm monologuing.
yeah. And again, yeah, also adding those world building moments and stuff like that, because some people might want to have. I try to encourage players to have bonds of some kind, whether it's in your party or in the world, and try to have those conversations and talk about those a little bit, because I force people to not be orphans in my world.
Oh man, I like that.
I hate the
I
orphan. I
like
hate the
that.
story orphans, because not to say that you can't have like your parents or your family gone in your world. That's not what I'm saying in terms of orphans. Orphans
Yeah.
in terms of like nobody. There's
Yeah,
not a single
yeah.
soul.
The
And I'm like, that's
Edgeblade
a,
Wolf.
I'm like, yeah, I'm like, shut the fuck up. You're telling me not a single
No.
person,
Well,
not
I
one
knew
soul.
one man, but I strangled the life from him and watched as it left his eyes.
Yeah, shut the fuck up. Somebody loves you in this world.
No one
some
ever did.
random
That's why
person.
I had to kill them. It was pretty
He took shots
straightforward.
with one. Yeah, he took shots with one person, and he found you amusing. Shut the fuck up.
Oh,
Somebody
yeah.
likes you in this
Well, he
world.
did it first, but eventually I killed him. Yeah, no, man. I love
Yeah.
that. I love that you make that a hard and fast rule where you're like, yeah,
Yeah.
the orphan thing is played out. We're not doing it. Okay.
One
So
person, but also like that's also a good time to like talk about safety as
Yeah.
well. Like I'm a big stickler about safety mechanics, safety tools, getting all of that stuff. That really helps players, I think, also be confident and comfortable at the table, because they have a general understanding that no shenanigans,
yeah.
no unexpected shenanigans
Exactly.
that are going to be there.
Here's what you're getting into, right?
What I tell people in my session zeros usually, both for any system that I've ran so far, is that while these difficult topics are present in this world, it doesn't have to be present in our story.
Gotcha. Yeah, just like orphans do exist.
Yeah.
Not here.
Not here. Not you can be an orphan, but
Keep it to yourself. All right, keep it to yourself, orphan. Yeah.
There's a companion out there that somebody likes you.
I love that.
But because I and have you seen in Mayday, we're not afraid to shy away from difficult topics, but I know
For
that a lot of
sure.
other people are, and we should
But you guys
respect that.
also like warn your audience of that, right? I mean, you're
Yes, we
very
do.
clear
We-
in terms
content
of
warning.
even that in terms of CW warning and completely. No, that's awesome.
But having those conversations there, setting your intention, like I like to lay everything out in your session zero, so everybody's walking away knowing like where I mean business, and where I will cut shit off, and that everybody at the table has a general understanding of boundaries, spaces, and stuff like that, so that we don't have to worry about those things coming up.
Exactly. And you're totally right. That like raises the trust level significantly. You're like, oh,
Absolutely.
cool. We had the talk.
Yeah.
Like we know what needs to happen and what needs to be drawn.
And makes more people more comfortable to, or willing to explore stuff, or willing to have trust that no one's gonna be shitty.
Yeah, it'll be done
and,
delicately.
it's super helpful.
That's
especially
awesome.
in daunting situations, or hard situations, or wherever our stories take us.
Yeah. Which is a lot of different places. Yeah.
Totally.
It sounds like in both tables. No, that's intense. Matt Bro, I agree. Like one-on-one gaming, like I myself like really enjoy. I've streamed some of that. I think it can be a fun way to lead into a larger table. Is that something you've ever done, Eli? I'm just curious.
I haven't done it personally. Caleb actually for Vampire the Masquerade had done one-on-one sessions with
Sick.
every character.
That's
Throughout what we were playing, like we were doing these as we were also running vampires. So some of the stuff that happened in those pre-stuff ended up becoming slowly leaking into stuff. Like stuff happened to my character. Like we established some of the pre-lore of some of my characters' shenanigans. So we ended up, finally bringing the results of all of that.
The shenanigans to bear, as it were.
Shenanigans. I mean, we've done that, and then we've also played Ironsworn and Starforge, which is a solo guided game where we all played one character. Sergio was our guide for it to kind of help us navigate mechanics, but we all played the same character. Sometimes we ended up rolling several characters, but we all collectively played one character a week. We all individually came on once a week, And whatever we did was what happened to that character, and then we'd stop, and then somebody else would pick
Pass
up
it
from
off,
there,
just like a rental car. Yeah.
So we were just popcorning.
You're pulling,
like
using
that.
the wiper fluid.
Exactly.
Scraping the curb. Yeah. Whatever.
There's a couple times where somebody left us in like dire straits, and we were just like,
that is so good. You're checking the inventory. You're like, who the fuck used the greater health potion?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Like
you show up in Search Adventures like, yeah, you just got stabbed. It's like, what?
By who? Myself?
By that guy last week. It's like, oh fuck. And you might be leading somebody into a shitty situation, and now they're gonna have to go sweep that up and stuff.
That's really fucking hilarious.
So we've been able to do like multiple different kinds of stuff, but yeah, one-on-ones are really, really great if you really want to get super in depth. And yeah, if you want and you have the time, I would try to do one thing, like whether it's like, for Delta Green, like every player has an inciting incident, which is the thing that brings you into the program.
Wait, is that part of the system has that?
It's a part of the system in terms of when you're like developing the character, like talk about you and your handler will talk about like how did you end up in the program, because nobody just shows up. All of you coming together is coming from like you brushed up against this shit, and now you're here.
Yeah.
So all of our characters.
But I like that's a very compelling. That's a very like narrative driven framing, right?
Yeah, totally.
No, that's sick. I just want to acknowledge this because Matt Pro, I'm totally with that. Like they say that's such a retro touch because that's how they normally did character creation when he first started in the 90s. That the DM created the PC in private usually, and we'd be introduced during the session as to who everyone was. That's how, like I've done it sometimes. That's how a Curse of Strahd campaign I'm in right now was introduced. Very fun and compelling. But like additionally, like what Eli's talking about is like you can almost treat that one-on-one before the first session as like maybe the session 0. Especially I have found if a player comes and has a bunch of stuff prepared, then I'm sort of like, all right, well, should we maybe just see what was going on in Candlekeep? Like, let's figure that out. Let's explore that.
Totally.
That's awesome. Well, okay. So, I mean, listen, I could talk to you forever.
Totally.
I literally was like PDFing like a ton of shit where I was like, all right, I need to look up a ton of stuff. I love that feeling. I literally, anytime I'm like using the metaphor cracking knowledge eggs, I fucking mean it. Like I knew just from Cursory on Mayday, I was like, man, you guys do a ton of stuff. But I did not even, thank you for the breadth of this, the depth of this. It's been amazing. I am contractually obligated to drag you through a little section called The Rapid Fire, which is, it's as scary as it sounds. Yes. It's not Caleb introducing the episodes, but it is intense. But it's basically like a sequence of like binary questions of like red or blue, up or down, right? But they're mostly D&D adjacent, so I apologize. I have worked in a couple that are a little bit more curveballs, but basically there's no wrong answer. Just go with what like you think it is or what's like true for you, and of course, as always, feel free to play along at home. But are you ready, Eli, for the rapid fire?
I'm ready.
Okay, I hope indeed you are, because it has begun. All right, what do you prefer, DM or GM?
GM.
GM, there it is. Table snacks, sweet or savory?
I lean towards savory.
Savory soul, okay. Now, what sweet snack, if someone brought, would you be snacking some of?
Gummy. If you bring me gummy
bears,
snacks,
done.
I'll take some gummy
Love
snacks,
it.
any kind.
Love it. I'll bring you optional, medicated and non, dealer's choice. Okay,
Yes.
Vampires or werewolves?
Ooh, werewolves.
Werewolves!
Werewolves.
Damn! I did not expect that to be the answer.
Surprise.
That's sick. That's a hard pivot. Okay, cowboys or pirates?
Ooh. These are so hard.
That's what they're supposed to be.
Oh, pirates.
Pirates, let's go. Okay.
Let's go,
As you were
pirates.
telling me some of these things, I was like, yes, okay. This will press them. Okay. Giants or dragons?
Giants.
Giants, love it. Frost giant or storm giant?
Storm giants.
Storm giant. Okay, let's go.
Legit.
We're stomping. Okay. If you can only play one for the rest of time, are you choosing more of a spellcaster or more of a melee adjacent player?
Melee adjacent.
Wow. I am so loving this.
I'm a ranger, baby.
Let's go. That's
ranger,
so
baby.
good. Dude, I feel like the OG Rangers are like true tabletop legends. You know what I mean?
Go.
That's fucking it. Okay, love it. Okay, a cleric, a bard, and a warlock all walk into a dungeon. Which one comes out?
Bard.
The bard. Okay, why and how does the bard come out?
Because the bard has seduced whatever is in
Yeah,
there.
okay, cool. So the bard's coming out buttoning buttons. Okay, I love it.
Buttons.
So if you had to jam yourself into one of the following player categories, not saying this is you, but if you had to jam yourself in one of these, which would it be? The edgelord, the min-maxer, the actor, or the rules lawyer?
Probably the min-maxer.
Probably the min-maxer. Wow,
But more
I
of
respect that.
we're more of like maybe more of the opposite, the max minner. Because I like to try to
Max
make
minner, wow.
difficultly mechanical characters. Like Niles is definitely one of the most like mechanically like disadvantaged characters I've
That
ever
is
written.
so badass, and that is the only time I have heard Max Minner in my life. That's. I mean, it sounds like it's intentionally done to drag it into. Sorry, I'm just writing this. I can barely write and talk.
Yeah, I was like, I want to make a difficult character.
Okay, to
Difficult.
play into story,
So
I absolutely fucking love that. Okay, Tabaxi or Tiefling?
Tiefling.
Tiefling, let's get it. Elf or dwarf?
Elf.
Elf, okay. Gnome or halfling?
The halflings.
The halfling? Respect.
Halfling.
Okay, this is one of the few straight down the barrel questions. Turtle or turtle? And understand, we stand turtles on this show.
Portal.
There it is. Got it right.
Turtle.
Okay, is your next campaign going to start? And again, I wish I'd put ship on there because I almost did. In the darkest dungeons, in the plane of nine hells, or in the highest of highs, in the astral plane?
Highs of highs. I like the astro.
Let's go. Okay, I'm glad I asked. Okay, these are just the last couple, but some of them are very important. Cleric or warlock?
Warlock.
Wizard or sorcerer?
Sorcerer.
Guidance or mage hand?
Mage hand.
Mage hand. Okay, then you're getting into trouble. I already know it. Scarier thing to encounter in a dungeon. A small boy that's lost and somehow immaculately clean, or an old woman wearing rags that won't stop laughing.
The child.
Right.
The child. Wow.
Ah, yeah.
That's like a Men in Black moment.
You're like,
Why-
something
why-
is inside that
Why
child.
is he carrying all those physics books?
Oh, fucking love that. Yeah, that is so good. Just a clean headshot on the kid with the backpack. That is so good.
Sus.
Oh, I fucking love it. Okay, better BBEG for your next campaign. A demon lord or a dragon king?
Dragon King.
Dragon king. All right, I want to see it. I like the sound of it. Okay, final question, and it's an important one. Yes or no? Should cats have dark vision?
Yes.
Yes, there we go.
Yes, they
There
should.
we have it. Why the fuck not?
Fuck it.
Like, have you seen a cat? Like, come on.
They're nocturnal.
Yes, and they're like acrobats.
Yeah, they're naturally.
Matt,
awake
bro,
at night.
I'm screenshotting this. Yeah, exactly. You've never seen a cat at night? Come on, Dungeon Master.
They're the worst at night. That's their peak.
Oh, I fucking love it. Eli, this has been so rad. Thank you. Thank you for kicking it. Thank you for taking the
for having
time.
me.
Thank you for all the knowledge bombs. Like, how can we best stay in touch? How do we come through on your stuff?
Oh hell yeah. I mean, yeah, you can definitely find me on Mayday Roleplay. That's where I help out mainly. If not to see me, to see all my incredible friends who do fucking amazing work, both as players, GMs, making art, making music, all sorts of stuff. We have it all. So you can find us at anywhere at Mayday Roleplay. If you want to look at some of the things that I do personally outside of Mayday, which is some of the game stuff I make, you can find me at Ghost of Eli on Twitter.
Which is a great account, by the way. Love it.
Yeah.
You're blasting. We're blasting
Thanks.
heat. I
Yeah,
like fastballs and heat.
Yeah, if you want to see me fight people on the internet or to see cool world building stuff, some of the activism things I'm involved in with my community space, yeah, you can check me out at a Ghost of Eli. That's primarily where you can find me all over socials. But yeah.
Well, we appreciate it. I want to shout out Mayday Roleplay real quick. So we're going to get a brief video overlay, which I love because it's just like a random snippet, which for me feels like, you know, popping open a time capsule. So stand by. It's also extremely laggy, so this might take 12 seconds. I don't know. Yes.
Sacred because you learn them from a waypoint.
Yeah.
Or go ahead, Kia.
Oh, we have not to be warp on main, but we would need a lot of text lines.
That's our world building for. That's our world building thing for that Iron Sword campaign.
Got you. Well, a high level of care just with the communication, which I can respect and appreciate. Dude, that's so good. Guys, I appreciate all y'all coming through. Mapro, you're a beast. Richter, thank you so much. Daryl, some new friends. Koopy, bugles up. Absolutely adore you guys. We are one follower away from a tank top giveaway, guys.
Oh, snap.
We're talking about artisan tank tops. Ready for this?
Dope.
And they're gone. Thank you. It's my award-winning series, Coffee Cops, half-hour comedy. Winner of the Best Comedy at the Paris Film Festival. Some others. But we made these tank tops, basically last summer, man. And I still have some left. So I'm giving them away to those that come and those that give their love. But tell your friend, tell your mailman. Guys, go follow A Ghost of Eli. They're on Twitter and crushing it. At Mayday Roleplay is absolutely murdering it. I do like to end these sessions by rating another D&D streamer.
Sure.
that was done to me the first time I was streaming D&D, and I was like, oh, this is so fun. So if you can, guys, pop over, spread some love. Mandy is streaming Mistlost right now, so I think we slide over there and give them some love. But any last words, Eli, before we get out of here?
Not really. Thank you so much for having me. This was actually really fun.
Yeah, I mean, dude, like I thank you for also being flexible. Like I hate having to cancel. I hate having to bump. That's like truly not my style.
That's show business.
It really is.
I'm totally fine with it. It's totally fine.
No, I could, that like beamed through, which meant so much to me. And immediately I was like, oh, they absolutely know what's up. Because like there's nothing more powerless than either being in a production or working production, period.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
They're like, actually, it's canceled. Actually, it's back on. Actually, it's next Thursday. You're like,
if you freak out about every time that stuff happens, then you know it's just like
know.
you'd be so stressed out. So I'm just like, yeah, man, you just let me know when you're free. I'm around.
The lead commodity in my life is like graciousness with scheduling, and so that's like meant a lot. But guys, give your support to Mayday and to Eli. They're awesome. We're gonna raid the Mandy. Tell them who sent you, and I don't know. As always, be sweet out there. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And I'll be back either next Thursday or no. I'm streaming tomorrow. I'm streaming a rehearsal I'm doing for this thing on Thursday. I hit up the scene partner. I can't believe they're into it, but we're going to stream a rehearsal. So I'll see you tomorrow. Eli, you rock. We are out of here.
Oh yeah.